I really believe that the PlayAUDIO 1U for my connectivity may be the best audio interface to use on stage because of its redundancy, some of its innovative features. It is just top of the class. There's nothing that comes close to it if you hope to be a playback engineer or use playback on stage. So because of that, I actually want to give you access to a full lesson from my brand new Using the PlayAUDIO 1U with Ableton Live course that's available in my all access community. You don't have to pay for it. You don't have to sign up to try to binge watch the course to get this lesson. I'm going to give it to you for free in just a moment. All I want to say up front is if you enjoy this, there's a couple things you can do. Number one, again, consider subscribing. I post new content like this all the time, specific tutorials just for this channel. I post a podcast every single Monday. And if you like the content and want to get notified when I go live and post new content, you know what to do, enable the notifications there. And then finally, if you want to go deeper, really learn how to master using the PlayAUDIO 1U with Ableton Live, then check out my course. I've got a link in the description of this video to learn more. Plus you get access to our brand new group coaching program as well. So you have the accountability in the community to lead you along the way and keep you focused. Okay, without any further ado, let's get into today's lesson where we talk about how to set up automatic failover with the PlayAUDIO 1U. Let's dive in.
All right, so let's talk about setting up automatic failover. Essentially, the way this works, the real quick version is I have loaded a plugin called LifeSign into my Ableton Live set. You can see it here. All it does, it's the most boring plugin in the world and it's fantastic. All it does is it just generates a tone over and over and over. You could do this without this plugin, but I think this is the best way to do this. Even when your Ableton session is stopped, it's still generating that test tone. And then what you want to do is you're going to go to audio 2, external out, and route this to output 15. We can certainly configure this to be any output that we want, but by default, it's output 15. So with this loaded, then what you can do is see on the front there, you see scene is flashing. We're on scene A, we're auto armed. We get the shield icon. That means we are protected against audio mistakes and blunders. Well, at least with our tracks going down. I can't promise that the bass player is not going to play the wrong note or someone's going to not mess something up because of this, but auto arm is set up. Now let's walk through how to do this. There's a couple things I want to show you really quickly if you've never installed plugins before in Ableton that you've got to be aware of. If you have done this before, then you can kind of breeze past this. This section will be a little bit of a basic thing. So when you download LifeSign, what you get is a plugin here, a folder, says Universal Mac OS, and within there we have a component version and a VST version, okay, which is great. We have both options here. To install this on your computer, you want to go up to the Go menu, so right there, we'll click Go menu, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down the Option button, and it's going to show this library option. So you see that kind of appearing and disappearing. I'm going to click that once that's open. And then I'm going to click this audio folder and I'm going to go into plugins. Okay. So with that set up, I'm going to open a new tab here, go back to downloads and go back to this folder. Now to install this, I'm going to take this component version, drag it over here, drop it in the components folder. I already have it installed. So it's going to say, hey, do you want to replace it? No, we'll just stop there. Okay. To install the VST version, I'll click on the VST one here, drag it here, drag it on VST. Again, do you want to replace? No, I don't. Okay, so with that installed, now let's go into Ableton, Command, comma, into preferences here. And we want to go to a section we have not gone to in this course yet. There'll probably one section of this menu we haven't. Go to the plugins menu here. Really quickly running through this. If you just added this to your Ableton session, you likely want to hit rescan. Enable audio units version 2 because it's a version 2. If you have other plugins that are version 3, you can enable that. We're going to use system folders, so that's enabled there. If you want to do custom folders, you could enable this here and browse to tell Ableton where on your computer that folder is. If you're using VST3 plugins, you can enable that to use system folders there, or again, do custom folders if you're doing that here. So that's a look at kind of our basic settings. One thing I will say with LifeSign that I found is super important to do is after you install it, close Ableton. Okay, so I'm actually going to close Ableton. We'll hit don't save. All right. Then I'm going to reopen Ableton Live here. The reason I'm doing this is I've seen sometimes when you load this in and get this set up, the output routing doesn't work after you do the initial install. So always a good idea to kind of do a restart. So what I'm going to do is reopen my song here. And I'm going to add LifeSign into my set. Now I've actually it didn't save. This is great. So you get to see me do this from scratch. We're going to go over to our browser here, our show hide button. We're going to click that. Okay. That's going to open that up. Then we want to go to the plugin section here. Now you could use either VST or the component version. I'm on a Mac, so I'm going to use the AU version 2. Click that, click there to the left of that, go to iConnectivity. We'll drop LifeSign in. Now, just for a moment, I'm going to let you hear this. Right, it's just literally a sine wave that's just running over and over and over. Again, even though Ableton is stopped, you can see transport is stopped up there, right? It's still generating and running. Now, we need to set up our output properly, so we'll do audio 2, external out, and then we're going to go down to 15. So now, let's show you the front panel of this. You can see we failed over to B. So I'm going to click our scene button here to get us back to A. It's flashing. It's automatically armed. We are protected against any tracks mistakes. Okay. So with that set up, let's talk about a couple configurations in Auracle. Then I'll demo this and show you this happening in real time. So let's go. Let me reopen. I guess I closed this. Let me reopen Auracle for X series. Give me just 1 second here. And we'll walk through the couple failover settings that I suggest and some things you could tweak, because there's a couple options available here to us depending on what you're doing. There's a couple ones that I think are really, really important to enable and or disable. We'll walk through that as well too. So let's go to our audio tab here, go down to the bottom to failover settings. We'll walk through this quickly. One, I would set your failover mode to single master. MIDI panic on failover. I could take it or leave it. If you're doing MIDI things and controlling them with tracks, you may not want this, or you may want this to not cause stuck MIDI notes. If you're changing, just experiment with it. If it matters, you know what MIDI panic is and whether you need it or want it. Clear alarm on ARM. I'm going to enable that because once I arm this, I can disable the alarm. You'll see what that is in a second. And auto arm. Basically, once I'm on scene A and it's detecting tone, I want it to arm and be ready to go. Okay. Trigger mode, we're going to do use audio mode. Audio trigger, we're going to choose failover signal sent to audio channel 15. Timeout, I just leave mine set to 2 milliseconds. I've never had issues with that. I have heard from some people that it switches without them doing anything. They have a little bit of a dropout, a glitch on their computer, and it switches without it. If that's the case, then all you have to do is just increase this from 2 milliseconds to 5 or 10. And that way it's only going to switch on an actual failover. Important note, if you're using Apple Silicon, make sure your buffer size in Ableton is 256 or less. Otherwise, you're going to generate audio dropouts because it's going to switch to the efficiency core, which is going to cause that. Final thing, super important here, auto switch to scene A. We want to make sure that is disabled. Now, I guess there's maybe, the feature is obviously there. So there's a reason it's there that some people would want it. I do not like that feature because the reason we're doing failover, automatic failover, is something happened wrong with A and we want to switch to B, right? That means maybe my Ableton session crashed or it hiccuped for a second and we switched over to B. When I have auto switch to scene A happen, that means as soon as it sees the tone again, it's going to switch back to A. That's a bad idea because something happened with A to cause it to switch to B. I don't want it to switch back and be late or be in a different part of my arrangement. So I disable that. I want to be in charge of switching back to A. Does that make sense? If not, just trust me on that. Okay, so let's close this down. You can see in Auracle for X series, we're armed. I could disarm failover if I wanted, click arm failover if I need to, but we're set up and ready to go there. Now I'm going to close this down. I'm going to leave it open for now. You see LifeSign running. Let's go over to arrangement view so we can see this. Actually, I'm just going to close LifeSign. I really don't need it. Now we're going to enable the audio here so you can see this. There's computer A, there's computer B. I'm going to press stop on both of these so that we're getting MIDI and everything is synced up. Now, show you the front here. Again, we're armed, ready to go. I'm going to press play. So press play on both of these. Both of these are running. They're both functioning. There's B, there's A. To kind of simulate something that I have seen happen before and has happened before to me on stage, I'm actually going to pull this A cable here. And I want you to watch that front screen and listen to what happens. As soon as I do that, it jumps over to B automatically and it keeps running, right? Everything keeps going. We'll press stop to stop this. The beauty of this, again, is because I did automatic failover, it's automatically going to switch to B when it detects that test tone goes away, and it's going to keep everything running and keep everything in sync. So that's the beauty of auto failover. I think it's a really great feature. I think it's worth exploring, particularly if you're in a scenario where you're doing this on stage as a music director. you don't have time to really listen and cue in and use the foot switch to switch over. So most likely set it to automatic. If you're like me and a control freak, use manual. If you're like most normal people, don't be normal all the time and live your own life, follow your own path, or use automatic failover, whatever you want to do. So that's a look at automatic failover on the PlayAUDIO 1U.